The stars twinkled like distant jewels as the exploration ship Horizon moved slowly through the edge of the Orion Arm. Commander Alex Wright stood at the main window, his eyes fixed on the asteroid field ahead. He had followed the strange coordinates for 3 months now. The old paper with the coordinates had been found in a dig on Mars, tucked away in what looked like a time capsule from 500 years ago. "We're approaching the location," Commander, said Lieutenant Paul Baker from his control station. "Sensors show a large collection of objects inside the asteroid field." Alex nodded and turned to Dr. Samantha Collins, who was studying data on her tablet. "What do you think, Sam? Another dead end?" Samantha looked up, her eyes bright with excitement. "I don't think so. The energy readings are unlike anything we've seen before. Something big is in there." Captain Eric Freeman walked onto the bridge, his uniform crisp despite the long journey. "The team is ready for exploration as soon as we're in position, sir." "Good," Alex said. He turned to the ship's pilot. "Lisa, take us in slowly. I want a full scan of the area before we commit." "Yes, sir," Lisa Peterson replied, her hands moving across the controls with practiced ease. The Horizon moved carefully between the spinning rocks. The asteroid field should have made navigation nearly impossible, but it seemed almost like the rocks were arranged to create a path. After 20 minutes of careful movement, the ship emerged into a large open space at the center of the field. Everyone on the bridge fell silent. Floating in the empty space was a fleet of ships, hundreds of them, maybe thousands, arranged in perfect formation. They were huge, dark shapes against the stars, showing no lights or signs of life. They looked old, ancient even, with designs unlike modern ships. "My God," Eric whispered. "It's a ghost fleet." Samantha was already working at her station. "Initial scans suggest these ships are at least 50,000 years old, maybe older." Alex couldn't believe what he was seeing. "That's not possible. Humans weren't even in space 50,000 years ago. We were still figuring out basic tools on Earth." "These don't match any known alien designs either," Samantha added. "They're different." Lisa zoomed in on one of the ships. The surface looked rough and basic compared to the smooth lines of modern vessels. "They look primitive," she said. Alex nodded slowly. "Maybe, but something kept them preserved in this perfect formation for 50,000 years. That's not primitive technology." For the next 3 days, the team sent drones to scan the fleet. They were afraid to approach directly in case ancient defense systems were still active. The data they collected only deepened the mystery. "We need to report this to Earth Command," Alex said finally. "And the Galactic Coalition should be informed too. This could be the biggest archaeological find in human history." When the report reached Earth, the response was immediate. They were ordered to begin a careful study of the fleet. But when Earth shared the discovery with the Galactic Coalition, the response was very different. The Coalition representatives, mainly the Arconians and Tellarites, the most advanced species in known space, laughed at the images. "Primitive vessels," said Chief Ambassador Zorak of the Arconians during the video call. "Barely worthy of study. Probably leftovers from some failed civilization that destroyed itself before achieving true space travel." "But the preservation systems," Alex started to argue. "Simple luck," interrupted Zorak. "The asteroid field provided natural protection. Nothing more. The Coalition has better uses for its scientific resources," added the Tellarite representative. "You humans may continue your hobby if Earth wishes to waste resources on space junk." When the call ended, Alex looked at his team. "They think it's worthless." Samantha smiled. "Then they won't mind if we keep studying it ourselves." "Exactly," Alex said. "And something tells me we're going to find a lot more than junk." 2 weeks after the discovery, the Horizon was joined by 3 more Earth ships. The largest was the research vessel Discovery, carrying a team of 50 scientists and engineers. Commander Alex Wright watched from the main deck as the new arrivals set up their equipment on the biggest of the ancient ships. Earth Command approved our full restoration project, Alex told Samantha as they prepared to board the ancient flagship. 6 months of funding to start. Samantha smiled. Not bad for a bunch of space junk collectors. The team suited up and crossed over to the ancient vessel. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness that had remained undisturbed for thousands of years. The air inside was surprisingly clean, another sign of advanced technology that had kept the ships preserved. "Meet our new team members," Alex said as two people approached in the dim emergency lighting they had set up. "This is Olivia Bennett, our lead engineer for the restoration." A tall woman with short blonde hair nodded. "Been studying the scans for a week. These ships don't make sense. They look simple on the outside, but have impossible technology inside." "And this is Daniel Harmon, AI specialist," Alex continued. "He'll help decode any computer systems we find." Daniel shook hands with Samantha. "Nice to meet you. I've brought 6 specialized AI units to help with the translations and analysis." The 4 of them moved deeper into the ship. The corridors were wide and the ceiling high, built for beings about human size. The walls were covered with strange symbols that seemed vaguely familiar, though none of them could say why. "Look at this," Olivia said, stopping at what appeared to be a control panel. She wiped away dust to reveal smooth, dark material. "This isn't metal or plastic. It's something else entirely." Daniel connected a small device to the panel. No response. Either it's completely dead or... The panel suddenly lit up with a soft blue glow. Symbols appeared on its surface, changing rapidly. Or it just needed to recognize something compatible. Daniel finished, surprised. "It responded to my standard interface. That shouldn't be possible." Over the next few days, they found more puzzles than answers. The ships had engines unlike any known design. The weapon systems were simple in appearance but contained complex targeting mechanisms. The materials used in construction included elements that were rare in most of the galaxy but common in Earth's solar system. A month into the project, Olivia made the first major breakthrough. She was working in what they believed to be the engine room when she discovered a hidden panel. "Alex, come look at this," she called over the radio. When Alex arrived, Olivia showed him a small chamber holding a glowing blue sphere about the size of a basketball. "It's the power source," she explained. "It's been running continuously for 50,000 years. Our instruments can't even identify what it is." "Can we activate more systems?" Alex asked. Olivia nodded. "I think so. This powers everything. We just need to find the right connections." That evening, the team gathered in their temporary command center on the horizon. The mood was excited but confused. The coalition representatives called again, Eric said as he joined them. "They wanted to know if we've given up yet." "What did you tell them?" asked Samantha. "That we're making progress." They laughed, said humans are too stubborn to admit when something is worthless. Daniel looked up from his computer. "Maybe we are stubborn. But I found something interesting. These symbols, they share patterns with very ancient human languages. Not exact matches, but similar structure." "That's impossible," Alex said. "Humans weren't capable of space flight 50,000 years ago." "Maybe not the humans in our history books," Samantha said quietly. "But what if there was an earlier civilization? One that disappeared before recorded history began." "That's a huge claim," Olivia cautioned. Alex stared at the ancient ship through the window. "Maybe. But something built these ships. And I'm starting to think the coalition is wrong about them being primitive. They're not primitive. They're just different. Built with a different philosophy of technology." "Tomorrow we try to wake one up," he decided. "Let's see what these ancient ships can really do." 6 months into the restoration project, the team prepared to activate one of the smaller ships. They had spent weeks connecting their equipment to the ancient systems, and now the moment of truth had arrived. Alex, Samantha, Olivia, and Daniel stood in what they believed was the bridge of the vessel, surrounded by control panels that were still covered in dust. "All systems are connected," Olivia said, checking her tablet. We're ready to try the startup sequence we found in the database. Alex nodded. Everyone ready? Daniel, are the recording systems working? All set, Daniel confirmed. Every second will be documented for Earth Command. Do it, Alex ordered. Olivia pressed a sequence of symbols on her tablet. At first, nothing happened. Then a low hum began to build throughout the ship. Lights flickered on the control panels, dim at first, then growing stronger. The ship seemed to be waking up from a long sleep. Power levels rising, Daniel reported. All systems responding. This is incredible. It's powering up perfectly after 50,000 years. The main screen at the front of the bridge suddenly lit up, displaying star charts and what looked like navigation systems. The symbols were strange, but somehow familiar. I don't believe it, Samantha whispered. It worked. We actually woke it up. Let's not celebrate yet, Alex cautioned. We still don't know if it's fully functional or... A voice suddenly spoke from the ship's systems. The language was unlike anything they had heard before, yet the sound was distinctly human. What's it saying? Alex asked. Daniel worked quickly at his console. The AI translation program is working on it. Give it a minute. While they waited, Samantha walked around the bridge, studying the newly activated panels. She stopped at one station, wiping away more dust from a small plaque. Alex, she called. Look at this. The plaque had symbols etched into its surface. They were worn with age, but still clear enough to see. These look like proto-writing from Earth, Samantha said. Similar to symbols found in caves dating back 70,000 years, but more developed, more complex. The translation program is starting to work, Daniel announced. It's not perfect, but I'm getting something. The ship is. It's asking for command authorization. Alex stepped forward. Can we communicate with it? I think so. The language structure is responding to our translation algorithms better than it should. Almost as if it was designed by human minds, Samantha finished. Over the next few days, they continued to explore the activated ship. More systems came online, revealing weapon controls, living quarters, and storage areas. Everything was designed for beings the same size as humans, with the same needs for air, water, and gravity. During a video call with the Galactic Coalition, Ambassador Zorak couldn't hide his surprise when Alex showed him the activated ship. You actually got it working? Zorak asked. Impressive persistence, if nothing else. But these are still primitive vessels. Curiosities at best. We found some interesting connections to early human writing, Alex mentioned carefully. The ambassador laughed. Humans seeing patterns where none exist. A common failing of your species. You're so desperate to seem important in a galaxy where you're newcomers. After the call ended, Eric joined the others on the bridge of the ancient ship. They're still not taking this seriously. They've even given us a nickname in coalition meetings, the scavenger species. Let them laugh, Alex said. We'll keep working. That evening, Olivia made another discovery in the ship's engine room, a small chamber filled with what looked like repair equipment. These tools, she said, holding up what resembled a wrench. They're designed for human hands. 5 fingers, perfect grip size. Daniel had news too. The AI programs have decoded more of the database. The language shares root structures with ancient Sumerian. Not exactly the same, but clearly related. Alex looked around at the ship that grew more alive each day. I think we're building a case here. But we need more proof before we make any official claims. Claims about what? Eric asked. That humans might have built these ships, Alex said. That our species might be much older and more advanced than anyone thought. A month after activating the first ship, Alex and his team had 7 vessels partially running. Each success gave them more data and more questions. Earth Command doubled their funding and sent more scientists to help. The coalition continued to ignore their progress, treating it as a human curiosity project. One morning, Alex found Olivia analyzing metal samples from the hull of the flagship. She looked up with excitement in her eyes. "I found something big," she said. "The metal alloys in these ships contain trace elements that are extremely rare in most of the galaxy, but common in our solar system. Specifically, they contain minerals that are found almost exclusively on Earth and Mars." "Are you sure?" Alex asked. "I've run the tests 3 times," Olivia confirmed. "These ships were built using materials from our solar system. There's no other explanation." Meanwhile, Daniel had made progress with the ship's computer systems. He sat with Samantha and Alex in the command center, showing them his findings on a large screen. "The language is definitely related to ancient Earth languages," he explained. "Not just Sumerian, but also Proto-Indo-European roots. It's like a parent language that evolved into our earliest known writing systems." "How is that possible?" Eric asked, joining them. "Humanity wasn't capable of spaceflight back then. What if we're looking at this wrong?" Samantha suggested. "What if human civilization is much older than we thought? What if we rose, built these ships, and then fell back to the Stone Age before rising again?" The room went quiet as they considered this idea. "A lost human civilization," Alex said slowly. "One that reached the stars 50,000 years ago and then disappeared." Daniel nodded. "The databases contain star maps showing Earth at the center of their navigation systems. And look at this." He brought up an image on the screen. A flag or emblem with a blue circle and white lines that looked strikingly similar to early designs for Earth's united flag. "It could be coincidence," Eric said cautiously. "One coincidence, maybe," Olivia replied. "But Earth materials, human-sized corridors, tools designed for human hands, language roots matching our oldest languages, and Earth-centered navigation. That's not coincidence." Alex made a decision. "We need to present this to Earth Command formally, gather all the evidence, and prepare a full report." 2 weeks later, they made their presentation via video link to the top officials at Earth Command. The reception was mixed. Some were excited by the possibilities, others skeptical of such extraordinary claims. "You realize what you're suggesting?" Admiral Kate Monroe asked from Earth. "That humans had an advanced spacefaring civilization tens of thousands of years ago that was somehow completely erased from our history." "We know how it sounds," Alex admitted, "but the evidence is compelling. We think some catastrophic event might have reset human civilization. Maybe a solar flare, asteroid impact, or something else that destroyed technology and sent survivors back to a primitive state." "Keep investigating," the Admiral said finally. "But be careful about sharing these theories widely. We don't need the Coalition ridiculing us even more." When news of their theories reached the Galactic Coalition through diplomatic channels, the response was predictable. During the next Coalition meeting, the Tellarite representative openly mocked humanity's desperate attempt to seem important. "They found some old ships and now claim their primitive species built them," the representative laughed. "Next they'll say they invented faster-than-light travel before they discovered fire." The Arconian ambassador Zorak was slightly more diplomatic. "While we admire human imagination, these claims are clearly the result of wishful thinking. A species barely 300 years into space travel could not possibly have ancestors who mastered it 50 millennia ago." Back at the fleet, Alex didn't let the mockery discourage the team. "Let them laugh," he told the others. "We know what we found, and we're going to keep finding more." Samantha nodded in agreement. "The ships are giving up their secrets bit by bit. Soon we'll have enough evidence that no one can deny it. And then we'll see who's laughing," Olivia added with a smile. None of them knew how soon that day would come, or what price would be paid for the Coalition's dismissal of the ancient fleet. 3 months passed as the restoration work continued. The team had activated 15 ships and was learning more each day about their systems. Then everything changed one quiet afternoon. Eric burst into the command center where Alex and Samantha were studying star charts from the ancient database. "We're getting emergency broadcasts from across Coalition space," Eric said, his face pale. Something's attacking the outer systems. They gathered around the main screen as reports flooded in. Strange ships had appeared near Arconia, the most advanced world in the Coalition. The Arconian defense systems, the best in known space, had failed against the attackers. What are we looking at? Alex asked as grainy footage showed dark, angular vessels moving through Arconian space. They're calling themselves the Void Harbingers, Eric explained. No one's ever heard of them before. They're demanding complete surrender of all Coalition worlds. Over the next few days, they watched in horror as world after world fell to the invaders. The Coalition's mighty fleets proved useless against the Harbingers' technology. 3 Arconian battlecruisers, each capable of destroying a small moon, were taken down in minutes. A week after the first attack, a Coalition emergency meeting was called. For the first time, human representatives were invited as full participants rather than observers. During the video conference, Ambassador Zorak looked shaken. His usual arrogance was gone, replaced by fear. The Harbingers have taken 7 major systems, he reported. Nothing in our arsenal affects their shields. They're moving methodically through Coalition space, conquering everything in their path. Do we know anything about them? Asked Admiral Monroe from Earth Command. Only legends, said the Tellarite representative. Ancient stories tell of destroyers from the void who appear every 50,000 years to cleanse the galaxy. We thought they were myths. Alex exchanged glances with Samantha. 50,000 years, the same age as their fleet. When the meeting ended, Alex gathered his team. I need to show you something, he said, leading them to a section of the ancient flagship they had recently unlocked. Inside was a large room with walls covered in detailed images. The pictures showed battles between ships exactly like their ancient fleet and vessels that looked exactly like the Void Harbingers. I found this yesterday, Alex explained. I didn't understand what I was seeing until now. Olivia studied the images. These show our fleet fighting the Harbingers. That's why these ships were built, Samantha realized. They were made specifically to fight the Harbingers. Daniel pointed to symbols beneath the images. According to my translation, this says, the cycle returns. Be ready. It's a warning. The ancient humans knew the Harbingers would come back, Alex said. They built this fleet to fight them, and they hid it where future humans might find it when needed. But why did human civilization fall afterward? Eric asked. Maybe fighting the Harbingers cost them everything, Samantha suggested. Maybe they won, but were so damaged they couldn't maintain their technology. Alex made a decision. We need to contact Earth Command immediately. The Coalition's weapons don't work against the Harbingers, but I think ours might. During an emergency call with Admiral Monroe, Alex explained their theory. You're saying these ancient ships were specifically designed to fight the very enemy that's now attacking? The Admiral asked. Yes, Alex confirmed. The weapon systems are unlike anything in current use. They might be exactly what we need. The Coalition would never accept our help, Eric pointed out. They still think we're primitive scavengers. They might not have a choice, the Admiral said grimly. Reports show the Harbingers will reach Earth in less than 2 months at their current pace. The Coalition worlds between us are falling quickly. How many ships in the ancient fleet can we activate? The Admiral asked. With emergency resources, maybe 100, Olivia estimated. Do it, ordered the Admiral. I'll send every engineer and pilot we can spare. If these ships can fight the Harbingers, they're our only hope. As the call ended, Alex looked at his team. It seems our ancestors left us exactly what we need, exactly when we need it. Now we just need to make it work, Samantha said. None of them said what they were all thinking. The fate of Earth, and possibly the entire galaxy, now rested on ships the Coalition had laughed at. The next month was a blur of activity. Earth sent every available engineer, pilot, and technician to help activate the ancient fleet. People worked around the clock, sleeping in shifts. The first Void Harbinger scout ships had been spotted at the edge of Earth's solar system. Time was running out. Olivia led teams working on the weapon systems. In a large chamber on the flagship, she showed Alex what they had discovered. "These aren't normal weapons," she explained, pointing to a strange cannon. "They don't just fire energy or projectiles. They target specific frequencies in the Harbinger's shield systems." "How do you know?" Alex asked. "We found technical documents in the database. The ancient humans studied the Harbingers carefully. They designed these weapons to exploit weaknesses that normal scanners wouldn't even detect." In another part of the ship, Daniel worked with a team of AI specialists to decode the combat systems. "The targeting computers are amazing," he told Samantha. "They're designed to find tiny gaps in the Harbinger's defenses. The ancient humans knew exactly what they were building these ships to fight." Eric was training pilots to fly the ancient vessels. It wasn't easy. The control systems were different from modern ships, but they responded well to human touch, almost as if they were waiting for human pilots to return. "It's like they recognize us," one pilot said after a successful test flight. "Like they know we're the descendants of their builders." 2 weeks before the Harbingers were expected to reach Earth, Alex was called to an emergency meeting with Admiral Monroe, who had arrived to oversee the final preparations. "We're naming it the Phoenix Fleet," the Admiral told him. "Risen from the ashes of our forgotten past." "How many ships will be ready?" Alex asked. 87, she replied. "Is it enough?" "It has to be," Alex said. "We've learned that the ancient humans faced similar numbers of Harbinger ships and won, but the cost was high." "The coalition is in chaos," the Admiral continued. "The Arconians have lost their homeworld. The Tellarates are in full retreat. They're asking if we have any way to help." "What did you tell them?" "That we're working on it," she said with a small smile. "I didn't mention the fleet. Let's surprise them." On the day of the final preparations, Alex found Samantha in a quiet corner of the flagship, which had been named Earthrise. "What are you reading?" he asked. She showed him her tablet. "I finished translating this section of the database. It's a message from the fleet's admiral. Listen to this. To our children's children. If you're reading this, the Harbingers have returned as we feared. We fought them to save humanity, but the cost was the loss of much of our civilization. We hide these ships for you to find when the cycle returns. Remember, you carry the legacy of Earth among the stars. We trust you to finish what we began." Alex was quiet for a moment. They knew they might not survive, but they made sure we would have a fighting chance. "They were our ancestors," Samantha said softly. "They sacrificed everything to give us a future." The next day, Earth received a message from Ambassador Zorak. His face was gaunt, his voice hollow. "The Harbingers have destroyed the last coalition defense line," he reported. "Earth is next in their path. I regret our dismissal of your species. Perhaps if we had worked together sooner, we may still have a chance, Ambassador," Admiral Monroe replied. "Stay tuned." After the call, the Admiral addressed the gathered crews of the Phoenix Fleet. "Today we face the enemy our ancestors fought 50,000 years ago," she said. "They left us the tools we need. They trusted us to be ready when the time came. Let's show them their trust was not misplaced." She turned to Alex. "Commander Wright, the Earthrise is yours to command. The fleet will follow your lead." Alex looked around at the 87 ancient ships, now humming with power and crewed by determined humans. "Phoenix Fleet," he said into the comm system. "Prepare for launch. Our ancestors are watching. Let's make them proud." The Phoenix Fleet left the asteroid field in perfect formation. 87 ships, ancient but now fully awake, moved as one toward Earth. Alex stood on the bridge of the Earthrise, watching the stars streak by as they traveled faster than light. "Coalition representatives are requesting to observe our defense attempt," Eric reported from his station. "They don't believe we have anything that can stop the Harbingers." "Let them watch," Alex replied. "They're about to learn something about humanity." The fleet arrived in Earth's orbit 12 hours before the Harbingers were expected. A small group of coalition ships hovered at a safe distance, including Ambassador Zorek's personal vessel. They had come to witness humanity's last stand, and perhaps to learn something that might help save what remained of their own worlds. Samantha joined Alex on the bridge. The weapons are fully charged. Olivia says they're working exactly as the ancient design specified. And the crews? Ready, she assured him. They trained as much as possible in the limited time. The ships seem to be helping. The control systems are adapting to make it easier for our people to operate them. Daniel's voice came over the comm. Long-range sensors detect the Harbinger fleet approaching. 93 ships in total. They'll be here in 30 minutes. Alex took a deep breath. All ships, Battle Formation Alpha. Remember your training. These ships were built specifically to fight this enemy. Trust them, and trust yourselves. The Phoenix fleet spread out in a wide arc, positioning themselves between Earth and the approaching threat. On the Coalition observation vessels, alien representatives watched with a mixture of curiosity and resignation. They had seen their own advanced warships fail against the Harbingers. What chance did these primitive humans have with their salvaged antiques? The Void Harbingers emerged from light speed, massive angular ships with surfaces that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Without warning or communication, they opened fire on Earth's orbital stations. Phoenix Fleet, engage, Alex ordered. The ancient ships surged forward. Their strange weapons powered up, glowing with energy patterns unlike anything seen in modern space combat. The Coalition observers watched, expecting to see the human fleet destroyed in seconds. Instead, they witnessed something extraordinary. The first shots from the Phoenix fleet struck a Harbinger vessel. Instead of dissipating harmlessly against shields as Coalition weapons had, these beams penetrated directly. The Harbinger ship shuddered, then exploded in a ball of dark energy. Direct hit, Olivia shouted. Their shields didn't stop our weapons. Across the fleet, the story was the same. The ancient weapons cut through the Harbinger's defenses as if they weren't there. The Harbingers, facing resistance for the first time in their campaign, adjusted their formation and concentrated fire on the Earthrise. The flagship rocked as energy blasts struck its hull. Damage report, Alex called. Minimal damage, Samantha replied, sounding surprised. These old shields are holding better than expected. For 2 hours, space around Earth blazed with weapon fire. The Phoenix fleet moved with surprising speed and coordination, as if the ships remembered this dance from long ago. 20 Harbinger vessels had been destroyed, with only 3 human ships lost. On the Coalition observation vessels, stunned silence gave way to excitement. Ambassador Zorak couldn't believe what he was seeing. The humans, the primitive scavengers he had mocked, were winning against an enemy that had crushed the most advanced civilizations in known space. "How is this possible?" he whispered. The Harbingers, facing unexpected defeat, suddenly changed tactics. Their remaining ships formed a tight group and accelerated directly toward Earth. "They're making a suicide run for the planet," Eric warned. "All ships, intercept course," Alex ordered. "We can't let a single one reach the atmosphere." The Phoenix fleet gave chase, weapons firing continuously. More Harbinger ships exploded, but several broke through the defensive line. "We need more speed," Alex shouted. As if responding to his need, the Earthrise's engines surged with new power. The ancient flagship shot forward, overtaking the lead Harbinger vessel just as it approached Earth's upper atmosphere. "Weapons at maximum," Alex ordered. "Fire everything we have." The Earthrise unleashed a barrage that split the night sky. The last Harbinger ship exploded in a flash so bright it was visible from the planet's surface. For a moment, there was silence on the bridge. Then cheers erupted across all communication channels. The impossible had happened. Humanity had stood against the destroyers and won. From his observation vessel, Ambassador Zorak stared in disbelief at the victorious human fleet. The fleet he had once laughed at. 3 days after the battle, Representatives from every surviving Coalition world gathered on Earth. For the first time in the Coalition's history, the meeting was held on human soil. The Grand Hall of Earth Command Headquarters was filled with aliens who had once looked down on humanity. Ambassador Zorak stood before the gathering, his usual confidence replaced by humility. On behalf of the Galactic Coalition, I extend our deepest gratitude to the people of Earth, he said. You saved not only your world but gave hope to all survivors across the galaxy. We owe you a debt that cannot be measured. Admiral Monroe nodded in acknowledgement. We were fortunate to find the ancient fleet when we did. About that fleet, said the Tellarite representative. Our scientists have examined the vessels and confirmed what your team discovered. Those ships were indeed built by humans, tens of thousands of years ago. A murmur went through the crowd. The Coalition was officially acknowledging what they had previously mocked. The evidence is undeniable, Zorak continued. The materials, the design for human use, the language patterns, all point to an advanced human civilization that existed long before our historical records. A civilization that fought the Harbingers and left these ships as a legacy for future generations. Alex sat with his team in the front row, listening as the truth they had discovered was finally recognized. Samantha squeezed his hand in quiet celebration. The records we've recovered from Harbinger debris suggest they follow a cycle, Zorak explained. They emerge every 50,000 years to harvest advanced civilizations. Your ancestors faced them before and developed weapons specifically to combat them. But something happened to that civilization, Alex added, standing to address the gathering. We believe the cost of fighting the Harbingers was so great that human society collapsed afterward. The survivors regressed to a primitive state, losing all knowledge of their achievements. But before they fell, they hid this fleet where future humans might find it. Daniel stepped up next to show the translations on a large screen. The final message from the ancient fleet admiral reads, "The cycle will return. We leave you these ships, this knowledge, this warning. Learn from our success and our failure. Survive." Olivia joined them. The technology in these ships is different from modern approaches. Not primitive as we first thought, but following a completely different development path. In many ways, it's superior to our current technology. The meeting concluded with the signing of a new treaty. Earth was granted full membership in the Coalition, with humans elevated to the highest tier of recognition. The Phoenix Fleet would become the core of a new defense force, with Coalition scientists working alongside humans to understand and replicate the ancient technology. Later that evening, Alex stood with his team on an observation deck, looking out at the Earthrise and the other ships of the Phoenix Fleet in orbit. What happens now? Eric asked. We keep learning, Samantha replied. The ships contain so much knowledge about our past, about who we were before we forgot. And we prepare, Alex added. The Harbingers will return eventually. Our ancestors knew that. They trusted us to be ready when the time came. Olivia looked thoughtful. They must have loved us so much. Their distant children they would never meet. To sacrifice everything, to fall back into darkness, but make sure we would have what we needed to survive. Daniel nodded. And now we honor them by continuing their work. As the sun set over Earth, Ambassador Zorak approached their group. He seemed uncomfortable, different from his former arrogant self. Commander Wright, he said to Alex, I wish to personally apologize for dismissing your discoveries, for mocking what we didn't understand. Apology accepted, Ambassador, Alex replied. We all have much to learn from each other. Zorak gazed at the ancient fleet. They laughed at your ancient fleet, he said quietly, until they realized humans built it. Now no one in the galaxy will ever underestimate humanity again. Alex smiled as he looked up at the ships that bridged past and present. Our ancestors would be proud, he said. Their legacy lives on in us. And this time, we won't forget.